What's going on, guys? Welcome to Plus Club on Taste Loop Gaming, the show where we play the games offered to us on PlayStation Plus, play them all month, and at the end of the month, every month, we talk about it. This month, we had Journey and Lords of the Fallen offered to us on PlayStation Plus. We all played them. And let's get into it. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Chris.
And let's start off with Journey. Now, Journey is about as fast as you can play it, like an hour to maybe 3-hour game. It's more of an experience, I guess it could be argued, where you play some kind of character who is journeying across a desert and trying to make it to the top of a mountain, essentially, without spoiling anything. If we do get into spoiler territory or anything, just put a warning out there before we do it. Mm-hmm. We all beat this, right?
Yeah.
All of us?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to throw out a spoiler warning right now then. Like, we're probably going to talk about the end of the game, all that shit. So if you don't want to hear about that, skip forward. We'll put like a little thing so you can skip forward. So what'd you guys think of it?
It was an experience. I really like the art style of it. It was just pretty much it was walk forward. Yeah, all in all, I mean, I don't have much to say about this game. It was, I played it, and I'll never play it again, and there are some nice things about it, but all in all, it was okay.
I mean, I'm kind of on the fence with this game. There was things about it I like quite a bit. The way the sand and the snow look, especially when your character is actually like moving through them, I think was done really well. And a lot of the visuals are really good, especially like actual set pieces where the camera moves and shows you a scene. But for a lot of it, I felt myself being kind of bored, to be honest. I don't think the experience held up through the whole game. There's good moments through the game for sure, and the multiplayer components are a neat addition to
Very
it.
Dark Souls-esque, having people who you kind of run into doesn't really affect your gameplay, but it kind of makes the world feel alive in a sense.
Stranger danger.
You're not by yourself, yeah. I'm going to jump into this, kind of liven up a bit. I heard about this game when it first came out, obviously. This came out in the last generation, right? Mm-hmm. And this is actually brought over. People were raving about this game. I believe the same guys that made this made Flower.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. They make like these cool experience games. Mm-hmm. And I heard about how this game is a masterpiece. It's a work of art. The music score is probably one of the best music scores in all video games, blah, blah, blah. So it was cool to finally have it on the PS4 with better graphics, blah, blah, blah. And I played through it, and where you say it's boring, I think the beginning is a little slow, but I think it's kind of in its pacing is kind of getting you kind of ramped up for this journey you're about to take. All pun intended. I do think this game has some very, very, very impactful scenes that I thought were amazing. I think a lot of this game, it has a great flow. Some people, when I've watched people play this, kind of stop and look at things. I couldn't do that, not necessarily because I was too bored, too busy, or whatever, but just because this game had this flow to it that I felt like I had to keep moving, had to keep going forward. And I thought that was really neat because that wasn't necessarily my own opinion, but the way the game was kind of guiding me. I think the soundtrack is really fucking good. I think there's certain parts that really elevate because of the soundtrack, namely two parts. The part where you're going through that tunnel and it goes sideways and you can see the sun coming through the windows, shining across the sand, shit like that. Really fucking cool looking. And then around the end, when you go through the snow, there's two parts of the music swells, and it's just really fucking cool. It feels like you're on the cusp of finally getting to what you've been going after. And towards the end, when you're flying around the waterfalls and shit, really fucking cool scene. It's almost really uplifting after what seems like it's going to be the end. You see all these graves as you're going through the game, and then you get to that point, and it's like, oh shit, you're gonna die in the snow, and then fucking you're going through this like crazy flying scene that just seems really like almost ethereal in the way you're moving, stuff like that. Really, really, really cool experience, and I think it was the perfect amount of time to play this game. I don't think I could play it any longer, but it's not also too short. Felt like just the right amount of time to be bite-sized and for me to still feel energetic about it, talk about it with you guys and be like, this game is fucking cool. But I think they nailed it. If it was too long, a little longer, a little shorter, I think would have ruined it. I think it was perfect in its execution. I really liked it. I just don't think it is as amazing as people say it is, because I think it's more style than substance, but it's a very, very cool experience.
Yeah, and like I said, there are scenes like then where you were talking about. I did like as well. As far as music, I honestly can't think of an entire or any song off the top of my head in that game. So
I can think like of 3.
yeah, so the music didn't do anything for me.
Ooh. It's definitely not one of the best, like people have said. It's if you like watch like top 10 countdowns typically of like best soundtracks, Journey's always on it.
Yeah,
it's always like top 3.
I mean, I'm sure it is really good. I just like I'm not a huge musical person, anyways, and usually I can at least remember a song in a game, and for life of me, I can't think of a single one right now in that game. So
I just think it had a really good, strong, adventurous, mysterious soundtrack that really worked, especially with the whole theme in the game of not really telling you who these people are and what they're really doing, kind of.
Or anything.
Everything, yeah. Everything was really mysterious, and I think the soundtrack's probably one of the best parts of the game, outside of visual aesthetics. Gameplay is minimal, but like I said, it's an experience. Chris, thoughts? You seem like you really enjoyed this game when I watched you play it.
I'll agree that it had like the perfect amount of time of gameplay. Like it ended exactly where it needed to end. If it went any further, I would have just been over it, just done. But I don't remember any music. I remember how the sand and the snow moved as your character walked through, or how like when they shout, if the snow and sand would kind of give way to it. But it really just felt like an extended tech demo to me. There's not really much to say about the game for me personally because I didn't really get much out of it. I just felt like I was just holding forward on the stick and maybe jumping periodically and running away from the strangers who would appear in my game. But
yeah, I think the game would have benefited from a little more actual interacting.
It's really interesting for me though on this game. When I was saying earlier about like perfect amount of time, gameplay, I think the gameplay was the perfect amount for me, because if this game was any more mechanical in what you could do in it, I don't think I would have enjoyed it, because I didn't play the game for the gameplay. Like, if it was a game where you go for it as a platformer, where like there's a couple more things you could do, it would have kind of slowed down the pace of the game. It would have made me have to stop and like figure out puzzles and shit, and I wouldn't have enjoyed the game anymore. I do like that it was more of this flow, this stream of experience that was just in and out. I'm in and out. I liked it. I'm done. But if it was going to be like a platform with more mechanics, I don't think I would have even played it all the way through. I would have been done with it.
well, it's weird that I don't really like it because I played Flower and I actually really like that game
Flower's
a lot. And the game itself is pretty simple as far as mechanics go.
Yep.
You just control the wind and a bunch of flower petals.
It's kind of similar in its design and the way you flow
Kind
around.
of.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say that's what I was that's what I to me it was an experience like Dear Esther or Gone Home. I mean, those games were just long enough. They had the same thing. If they're just long enough, if they were any shorter, to me that'd be okay. If they're any longer, I'd be like, ugh, I ain't gonna do this anymore. I do feel like a lot of the gameplay was just hold forward, and I feel like it was the strength of the whole game was the soundtrack, because it was the part, except for when you're flying through the sky in the very last area. Other than that, like visually, I'm thinking, it's sand and brick, and then it's snow and fucking tunnels and caves, and so I didn't really do a whole lot. But it was the music in those parts that did work. Like there was the music when those fucking first meet those things that try and kill you.
Mm-hmm. Stone Quetzalcoatl's.
Yeah, those things were pretty. Those things were pretty intense, and the music really did make those moments a little more terse.
Good word usage.
And then, of course, the very end is very uplifting because you died and now you're back, and it's just you're just kind of just cruising through the fucking skies, and it was a very happy note to a otherwise very blurry fucking end
Or
of
was
the
it
game.
your just delusional thoughts as you slowly froze to death?
Who knows? That's the journey.
The thing I find really interesting with this game too is it seems like obviously we all have our how much we're impacted by the game varies, but it seems like what we got out of it, if you did get anything out of it, is all different. Because like I said, I don't care about the gameplay. I think it flows well. I like the way it controls, and I was not looking for more mechanics. I'd play something better for that. But for what it was, stylistic, visual experience with a great soundtrack, I can't think of another game like it that does it better. I don't think Dear Esther's better. I don't think On Home's better. I don't think any of those games are better. I think this one is probably the more artful of them in a cinematic, visual, and audio experience. Not in dialogue, not in story, blah, blah, blah. The ones do it better. But I'm saying, like, just as a visual stimulant, which I think this is what people are really enjoying about this game, and have been, is how immersed and connected they can get to something that's not telling them anything. It's a feast for the eyes and the ears, for people who are into that music, into the visuals. And I think it's, like I said, so condensed and has so many varied areas in a fucking hour that I feel like it's just like a quick, epic pill you can take for an hour and just experience something
Like
that
acid.
seems epic. Huh?
Like acid.
Exactly. Kind of.
So I've been sitting here thinking, and when I played it, I did have like moments of huge like, this is fucking amazing and blah blah blah, and holy shit, this scene is really fucking cool and that scene is really fucking cool. But then once I shut the game off, it was all gone, and it obviously still is because I'm not talking it up hugely, and so I think like that's my issue with it is those whatever it was that brought elation to my heart when you come back to life, that brought dread when you died or when you're just trudging through the snow and you don't jump anymore, you're just fucking just trying to make this fucking the end of this. This the sadness of it, those were there when I was playing the game. They're not there now. And that kind of drops the game, not drops it, but that kind of lowers the game for me because I feel like it should have stuck a little more.
See, and again, obviously me and you seem like we got more out of it than these guys because we're talking about more, I think. But it's interesting because I didn't get any sense of dread or sadness or anything. I got emotional cues from just visual symbolism of things, struggle with music that backs it, stuff like that. I wasn't necessarily worried about the main character, just like the individual scenes that happen that give you 1 minute of something that you wait a whole movie to see, essentially. A big, epic, cool, adventurous finish to something, right? So, like, there was one part at the very end where you're flying around and going through stuff like that, and I didn't fly into a waterfall and fall down, so I got to flow through it, and it was like this really cool really cool scene, and I actually got chills from it. And I thought about it, I was like, why? Why am I getting chills from this? It's because of the stimulation of the visual with music. That was it. I have no horse in that race. I don't care about the character. I don't know anything about him, blah, blah, blah. It was just really stimulating and really epic. But I feel like kind of go on in circles on this. Lasting thoughts on it. Who would you suggest it to?
I can't really think of anyone, to be honest. I'd recommend this to.
Jesus.
I mean, really, like, I was pretty blank the whole time I played this game.
This whole discussion is blowing my mind because this game's so highly regarded by like everybody. Like, you could literally, and I'm not saying you should or you should correct the way you think, but for me, I would suggest this to every single person who plays video games.
I was literally
only
just
because
gonna say that.
I just don't
everybody
think
loves this game.
It doesn't feel like a video game to me. I could have set the controller down and it could have done the entire walk for me, and I would have got the same experience out of it.
Yeah. I like Metal Gear Solid, though. It has a lot of cutscenes, so that doesn't
You
bother
play
me.
Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I played Journey. I feel like I was holding controller and watching something on YouTube almost.
Maybe Journey
I mean,
played
it was.
Sounds like it did.
I don't know. I've played story-based games and experience-based games that there was something there to grab me, and there just felt like there was just something missing here to make it feel like a video game to me. And for that reason, I don't know. I could have done without this game. So
I would actually just recommend this game to anybody. Experience games are something that aren't really like. I don't know. I literally don't know anybody who's just like, I literally only play games like Flower, and I literally only play games like Journey and fucking Gone Home and.
I don't think there is people like that though. But
Exactly.
But all these games that are coming out are all being highly acclaimed, and I think it's kind of scary to almost be like these games shouldn't be around because they don't offer the gameplay you want, right? Like there should be like this open ecosystem of different types of games for different types of people. So yeah, I mean, even if I completely disliked this game, I think there's still a place for it. And I think a lot of people really could enjoy it, and they do. Chris?
I'm kind of the same out of Chevy. I'm not really sure who I would recommend to play this game, but at the same time, hearing like how varied our opinions are and what experiences we kind of got out of the game, I think everyone should give it a try at least, but don't expect gameplay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just, it sounds weird, but play it. Just don't expect any gameplay. It's simple, but pretty and simple, and there's not a lot of background or story unless you go really deep, apparently, and really try to like figure out what.
Josh knows the whole story. He's telling you the whole thing while you're playing.
Well, there is. I mean, throughout the
pictographs.
areas, there's pictures you can light up, and they give you another little chunk of the lore. And
But
stuff
there's
like
no
that.
real like. There's
all
no
interpretive,
words.
I feel
It's
like.
all interpretation.
Yeah.
So, if anything, if you want to have like a group discussion with a bunch of friends about the experience and see what you can come up with, then yeah, play it. If you're looking to spend like an hour of having like mind-boggling fun, don't play it.
I would suggest it to anybody who plays video games, definitely. If you like any, even if you're into narrative-driven games, even though it's not very narrative-driven, but any kind of experience-based game where you're just kind of experiencing something, definitely check the game out. If you're into platformers, check it out for sure. If you're into cinema or music composition, definitely check it out. It definitely, I mean, that's its strong suit. That's what it does. Okay, and for the second game that we played for Plus Club this month, Lords of the Fallen. Now, in case you didn't get to play it, Lords of the Fallen is another game that's taking after the Dark Souls series to a T. Just like Neo, it is a game where you go from hallway to room fighting individual people or multiple people, trying not to die, and essentially blocking, swinging. It's the...
with intense boss battles.
Yeah, I mean, it's Dark Souls, really. Which, in a topic of its own, I think it's great that Dark Souls, like Minecraft, has almost created its own genre.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool to see people kind of tackling this. A couple things that differentiate this game from Dark Souls, though, is, carrying experience. You get rewarded for it. Better loot drops. More experience. A couple other things. There's some bigger focus on some of the magical abilities. But yeah, what did you guys think of Lords of the Fallen?
I actually really liked it. It's kind of cartoony in the art department. Not like overly cartoony, but it reminded me much of the game Orcs Must Die.
Oh yeah.
It had that very like kind of cartoony but not super cartoony look to it. Gameplay wise, it's kind of like Dark Souls Light. If you have never played Dark Souls before, but you really want to try it, but you're kind of intimidated by the gameplay, I would recommend you play this game first, just because it's a little more easy to get the hang of.
That's something I felt as well too, but I didn't think of it that way until you just said it. As I played it, I was like, this is a really good substitute for Dark Souls, but in like a lighter way for sure. As I played, I'm like, it does everything that I want from Dark Souls, but it's not as stressful.
It's not as punishing.
Yeah, Dark Souls is this really dark experience where you're just being punished constantly, stakes are really high, and bosses, especially music, is just not in this game to be as fucking crazy. But I think it's cool because, like you were saying, it kind of does offer a Dark Souls experience for people who might not want to play that dark gothic imagery, really intense choirs, fucking demonic shit. And I do agree in the visual style. I mean, the game reminds me a lot of like Blizzard style, Warcraft looking. Kind of reminds me of Darksiders a little bit. And
My
it's
shoulder pads are the
cartoony.
size of my chest.
Exactly. But yeah, more thoughts?
So I didn't play a whole lot. I played probably about 15, 20 minutes, and then I watched Chris play for about an hour, roughly.
And to be clear, this is this type of game you're not really too keen on. So you did try to give it a good try.
Yeah.
But because you're not really into games that have things like pop out at you and shit,
Right.
You were able to sit down and watch Chris and me play this for a couple hours. So
Yeah, and this can be a weird example, but like Silent Hill is a game that I can't play, but I enjoy watching.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same category, even though this isn't obviously a scary game, as much as I just kind of psych myself out too much.
Yeah.
That being said, I appreciate pretty much everything about this game. I like that it does have its own unique style. It definitely, even though it is a Souls clone, I don't think it has a lack of identity. It definitely feels like its own world and stuff.
That is one thing too that I also.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like piggybacking off you guys, but these are all really good points. That's something I realized as well too. Is like, as much as Neo and this game are very much, as you said, Souls clones, they both still have a visual identity, and the way the games play feels similar, feels familiar, but at the same time does have its own identity,
Right.
For sure.
I do like the more how to word this. The magic in this game is much more expressed than it is in like the Dark Souls games. Dark Souls game magic is very like
Fireball.
cut and dry, simple,
Fireball.
like, and not in a bad way. It fits the world perfectly. And in this game, you cast a spell and it's this huge spectacle, which you don't see in Dark Souls.
I think the magic in this game feels more fantastical, more fantasy.
That's a better word, yes.
Dark Souls does feel more. Josh looks like he's about to go fucking nuts. Dark Souls reminds me, in its magic, more like Tolkien-esque or like D&D-esque, more
towards Tolkien.
just more archaic and like more blatant fireball casting type spells.
Straight to the
stuff like
point.
that, yeah. Whereas this has things that I feel like you'd see more in like a RPG.
Yes.
Like a more classical RPG.
Well, and it's definitely pulling a lot from RPG roots, because, I mean, it's not even trying to have its own system. You have experience points as your currency. So, I mean, visually, I think it is an appealing looking game. The two bosses I saw, though, looked almost the same, which was kind of disappointing. I mean, that's a nitpick, but that was one thing I did notice. That was that the Souls games definitely have on top of it. So.
Josh, you look like you have a lot of things going on here.
Okay, first off, I mean, as much as I do think this is Dark Souls light, I think you should play Souls before this game. Souls does it better. And if you want to get like a Souls experience, I think you're cheapening yourself unless you play the Souls games. I think the magic is fucking lame, honestly. Yeah, it is a bunch of fire and all that shit, but it's literally a dude that does, and there's 3 schools of magic, 4 spells to each school, and the first one in each school is a decoy, and then the other 3 do kind of their own thing, but they're based in rogue, warrior, and sorcerer types. But it's literally like a fucking human effigy type doing some move, and then they go away.
You don't think that's different than Dark Souls?
No, I mean, yeah, I do.
Okay,
I mean, that was the
like,
point that was
there's-
made. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no. But I think that I think the Dark Souls magic is fucking as whimsical, if not fucking like as intense. I believe that Lords of the Fallen is a lot of fucking flash and not a lot of like substance when it comes to magic, and Dark Souls is not. It's there's a lot of magic in Dark Souls, spells and shit I've never even seen, and then all of a sudden I see them and I'm like, oh shit.
I think you're making an argument against something that wasn't said, though, because all that we said was that the visual appearance in magic in both games, one is more I forgot what word you use now.
Dark and fantastical, or no. Dark Souls, it's more like dark and like straightforward.
Yeah.
Whereas in this game, it is more. It reminds me of like if you played like a more classic RPG,
like JRPG or something.
Yeah, and you're doing weirder, colorful spells that
versus
do
the darker tones, and like a fireball isn't like this crazy like. Look, it looks like a fire. It's just like a straight up fireball, and that's not. And I said it's not a bad thing. It fits the world perfectly, like in the way they do it. I have nothing.
And of course, you're arguing that you like Dark Souls more, which I don't think anyone has a case on that.
No.
We all like Dark Souls more.
Well, no. I'm just saying that I think that the Souls magic isn't as straightforward as told. I think there's a lot more to it than that. I've played through the game many fucking times. There's all sorts of crazy, different, colorful spells that you can fucking get.
Played Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3. They all have pretty straightforward magic to me. Like every single one of them. It's like light your blade on fire, shoot something.
Have lightning strike.
There's not a whole lot of crazy shit. It all fits the world because the world's supposed to feel medieval.
At the same time, realistic. I don't think Lords of the Fallen has crazy shit either.
I don't think it's crazy, but it's more fantasy feeling.
It's boring.
Well, and if it bores you, that's fine. But I'm saying visual style. I don't. Dark Souls doesn't have anything like as colorful in tone as this. Regardless of if you think it's lame.
Well, yeah, but that falls into like the cartoony style of it.
Exactly. That's
magic,
all we've been talking about.
If magic was a real thing, it would look more like Dark Souls.
Exactly.
Whereas Lords of the Fallen is more of like the cartoony aspect of what magic would look like.
Okay. Look, that is right. But but I don't know, just like
no one's arguing that the magic in the game is better than Dark Souls. That's not the discussion.
Okay, that's what I took from it. That's what I took from it. Relax. That's what I took from it. Okay. No, I have a really love-hate kind of relationship with this game. I think it does things really kind of well, and I think it fucking does things like shit. I found myself bored with a lot of the armors, a lot of things like that. Like some stuff looks neat, other things I don't think looks good at all. Sounds in the game are boring. Boss battles were boring. And maybe I am just going through this like, this isn't fucking Dark Souls.
You definitely have a Dark Souls.
That's the reason I don't fucking like it.
I'll say fanboying.
Yeah, it may be, but I don't care. I mean, that's fine.
Well, everyone's opinion's fine,
right.
Honestly. I'm just really open to the idea of other people doing it. I mean, you had the same opinion with like Neo, and then you end up liking it. So.
Yeah, but
it's
I've put many hours into Lords of the Fallen, and I can't get over that hump. I guess is of like finally being like, all right, this is okay. The fucking enemy design's fucking lame as fuck. Like I said, it's way too boring for me. Even though like how cartoony it looks, I'm very unimpressed with it.
Any other thoughts outside of that?
Well, and the one thing I was gonna say is the non-complete feel. I do feel that the game is lacking some polish. I think would be a good way to word that.
I think it is worth noting though that this game is made by a Polish company. They don't have a big gaming thing going on there. I mean, they have CD Projekt Red, which also started making some pretty mediocre games with good storylines, and then they made The Witcher 3.
Evolved very well, yeah.
Games like this, I think if you can find anything good out of it, you should support it so that possibly they can get better budgets, grow their company, and make better games. If they have good ideas, should be supported.
Sure, and I think that and I don't know what other games these guys have made.
Ghost Warrior, Sniper.
Oh, right.
Which is another series people are still buying. There's three of them.
I think they have a lot of good ideas. Like I said, it definitely keeps its identity, and I think it has its place in this genre. I mean, you may not like this game, but you obviously like Dark Souls, and you seem to have come to like Neo. So I mean, like, that's gonna happen with any genre. I love JRPGs, but I can tell you a few off the top of my head that I think are complete crap, even though other people might like them or might just like all JRPGs.
What?
Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
But I still think there's room for it. So
Definitely.
I really like the weapon combo system. Like, it doesn't tell you much about it, but like if you time your attacks right, Each weapon has a different combo style, which I think would be really neat to bring to a Souls game. I know it's not going to happen because it's not really how Souls games are played. But I found it fun and refreshing to be able to do that because I like games where you have weapon combos that add. It's just a flair.
Almost added kind of like an arcadey flair to it.
Yeah. But then I'm a person who likes to play Dynasty Warrior games. And
Exactly. And with certain builds in the game, I have noticed that the game starts feeling a little more arcadey in the way it fights versus other builds, and that's another thing that differentiates it from Dark Souls, definitely. Also, being able to run up to people and slam them with your shield and knock them over, stuff like that.
Right.
I think it's a really cool addition. It's a cool idea. Yeah, the only things I think are weak about the game is obviously some of the production value, but I don't judge the game based off that because I get where it's from. Smaller company. And dialogue does suck, but again, it's a Polish game, so can't really complain too much about that. Plus, I don't care about the story, so... there's a Mega Man gun. That's also kind of lazy feeling.
That felt very lazy, just kind of thrown in there.
Like I said, my theory behind that is they were like, we need a ranged thing in this game, and we're already done with the game. So like, just make it like an all-around fucking shooter thing and just throw it in there. I feel like that's what they did. But altogether, I put like 25 hours into this altogether, so I played it quite a bit. Really enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to beat it because I think I have like 3 bosses left until I'm done with the game. But yeah, like you kind of said, it feels like Souls, but it feels like a lighter, less stressful version, kind of like a more chill version of Dark Souls. It's kind of just easy kind of go through. And I think it's a good and welcome game into this essentially new genre nowadays.
I mean, this is a real small company that has one other notable game really under their belt. Do I think Dark Souls is a better game? Absolutely. Do I think this game is worth playing? Yeah.
Any last thoughts, Chris?
It's fun. I don't feel super stressed out playing it.
Exactly. Yeah, me too. Who did you suggest it to?
Everybody.
I was kind of getting into that, and then we stopped talking.
I would suggest it to everybody.
Yeah.
Absolutely everybody.
Josh?
Nobody.
Okay.
I wouldn't quite say everybody or nobody. I think if you like action adventure games, melee based, I should say, you'll probably enjoy this. If you like Souls games, you'll probably enjoy this. If you just like fantasy worlds in general, you'll probably enjoy this. But I don't think you're like your Call of Duty player or anything like that.
No, or if you on sports games, shit like that. I'm on the same page. If you like Souls games, definitely check it out. If you like hack and slash RPGs, action RPGs, loot-based games, games with magic, check it out. If you like challenging games, check it out. Like I was saying before earlier, though, one of the things that I feel weak about the game, I forgot to mention this earlier, is boss battles. Some of them are okay, some of them are kind of mediocre, but the thing I don't like about them typically is they just run long. And that's the challenge of it, is like managing your potions, more so than the extreme challenge of learning their moves. A lot of them don't have a whole lot of moves. So that is a weaker element to it. But
very
outside
RPG-esque.
that, exactly. It's like an endurance race type thing. But yeah, for the 15, 20 hours this game runs, it has like fucking like 12 different bosses and a bunch of different locales and a lot of weapons. And yeah, definitely check it out.
Yeah, I think the price to gameplay element is there.
Well, especially for a game being offered for free right now, like a PlayStation Plus, a whole lot of value there. Hours of gameplay, plenty of replayability, and like I said, I think games like this should definitely be supported because it's a small company that doesn't make a whole lot of games, and if you want them to make better games, in the same vein as like CD Projekt Red, support it.
Yep. I mean, unless obviously later chances they don't improve, in which case they're not evolving.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I think it's going to do it for this episode of Plus Club on Teasley Gaming. Make sure to like, subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on Tumblr and Twitter, Teasley Gaming. Check us out on Twitch, Sleep Division. And again, thank you for watching. Until Tuesday, my name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Chris.
Have a great weekend, guys, and take it easy.